Prior to Bush's speech, the American strategy in Iraq had assumed that political progress would lead to improved security. As Iraqis stand up, Bush said in June 2005, we will stand down. By some measures, this strategy had appeared to be working up until early 2006, but every success proved transitory, and enduring stability was elusive. Iraqis had elected a transitional National Assembly in January 2005, approved a new constitution, and in December 2005, voted in a parliamentary election. The maturing political process had seemed to some observers to validate the American strategy in Iraq, but in the months after the parliamentary election, political progress stalled while violence rocketed upward. Throughout 2006, Bush received mixed assessments from his advisors in Washington, from the uniformed military leadership in the Pentagon, and from his military commander and ambassador in Iraq. Some argued that the American strategy was succeeding. Others warned that Iraq was near, if not already in, civil war, and that the U.S. project in that country was careening toward irretrievable failure. In Baghdad especially, Sunni extremists and Shia militias were killing civilians of the opposite sect, provoking more and bloodier retaliatory attacks. Iraq was trapped in what Bush called a vicious cycle of sectarian violence. The president's speech on January 10, 2007, announced a new strategy based on security leading to political progress. The new goal was to put down the inter-ethnic killing by providing security for the civilian population, particularly in and around Baghdad and in Anbar province in western Iraq. These improvements in security would then create space for political progress, the White House's strategy proposed, as Iraqis could then resolve their differences with ballots instead of bullets. The new emphasis on security required more troops, 5 more brigades of U.S. forces, totaling over 30,000 servicemen and women. For a military and an American populace already strained by 5 years of constant war since the terrorist attacks of September 2001, and worn down by growing casualty lists in particular, this was a daunting development. More troops deployed among the population would likely result in more deaths and injuries, at least in the short term. This new strategy, the increase in American troops for Iraq, and the installation of a new country team, that is, a new field commander and a new ambassador in Iraq, have come to be known as the surge. Bush ordered the surge of forces to Iraq because he wanted to win the war, but also because he believed the nation could not bear the costs of losing. As he later urged his interviewers, "You've got to ask the question, what caused me to want to win?" His answer was that he understood the stakes. He understood that U.S. failure in Iraq would have profound and far-reaching geopolitical consequences, and that he believed we could win. "I believed we could win because we're a superior military," Bush recalled. "But I also believed we could win because we have a superior philosophy to those we're fighting." Freedom and democracy, he had long argued, held universal appeal and would prevail if given enough time to incubate and grow. Finally, and as Bush acknowledged, there was a deeply personal component to his quest to find a path to victory in Iraq that meant keeping faith with the military and the families of the fallen. "I could not stand the thought of allowing somebody who sacrificed to just wither on the battlefield. I couldn't stand the thought of making decisions that enabled defeat. How could I look at a mother and say, 'Your son, what your son did ended up being useless?' And so behind the thought was, failure was not an option for me." The president's remarks provide a window onto his thinking on one of the most consequential decisions of his presidency. It was arguably the most difficult decision he faced in office, more so even than his initial decision to invade Iraq in 2003.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.